What a happy looking world this is. I'm looking forward to sharing tons of laughs with the folks here. Huh.
Well, this sucks.
The Amazing Digital Circus pilot on the Glitch YouTube channel has been going absolutely viral as of late, having the potential to become as popular or even more popular as its Glitch sister show, Murder Drones, which is another great show, by the way. Digital Circus's general premise follows an unnamed woman getting transported to some kind of digital world with a circus theme after putting on some kind of weird VR headset in the real world. This world is run by the AI game master named Kane and his assistant Bubble, who like to hold various different games and adventures for the residents of the circus. All the residents, with the exception of Kane and presumably Bubble, were all human ones. Humans that got transported here against their own will and have not been able to figure out a way to leave for what sounds like multiple years for all of them, with the exception of the newest victim of this world, Pomni. The majority of the pilot is seen through the lens of Pomni as she tries her best to navigate this new world with the help of some of the current residents without losing her mind, which is something that's very easy to do in this world. Hence why others like Ragatha and Jax try their best to appreciate the adventures Kane puts them on to keep their minds busy, because if you're not able to keep your mind busy in a place like this, it's very easy for you to lose your mind. Because the catch with this digital circus is, you do forget your real name when you arrive and Kane has to assign you a new one, but you still remember that you had some kind of human life before arriving here. A human life that you presumably didn't want taken away from you and, want returned to you as much as possible. Pomni is undoubtedly going through these scary thoughts more than anyone because she literally just got there. But that doesn't mean others don't feel like this too at times. Kinger in particular is the longest lasting resident of the circus who hasn't completely lost it yet, but is very on the edge all the time and looks like he could snap at any given moment depending on what is said to him or what happens to him.
I think it's a nest.
This path to insanity is typically rooted from the idea that no matter how hard one seems to try, there really seems to be no way out of this digital circus, which is why the other residents try their best to discourage Pomni to go looking for answers / a way out, because the likelihood of it leading to disappointment and more agony is very high. But she can't really help herself because after seeing the occasional exit door pop up out of the blue and reappear in different areas, this exit door is on her mind for a while and she becomes even more curious after hearing another circus resident named Kaufmo has apparently been looking into the door. However, by the time she and the others find Kaufmo in his bedroom, he's completely lost it. His bedroom looking like something out of a horror movie with the word exit written over and over on the walls in red. His body turning from a standard looking clown to some kind of multi-eyed monster with superhuman strength and the ability to make other things in the circuits glitch out or completely disappear. The glitching effect in particular seems to only work on the previously human circus residents because we saw the monster version of Kaufmo look like he completely decimated those barrel monkeys into dust, but at the same time the Gloinks and their queen did seem to take the same kind of damage as Ragatha did. I'm probably overthinking it, but maybe the monkeys just glitched too and the camera angle made it look otherwise. It's hard to say for sure. What does seem to be another effect of the glitching is it can be passed on to others just through touch, like when Pomni tried to help Ragatha up and her hand became infected. This seems to be an attempt to physically represent how a computer virus could potentially destroy a program or one's computer. At least that's how I took it. Though the specific term the character used for Kaufmo's condition was obstructed. Pomni does eventually find the magic exit door again while she's looking for Kane to help with the Kaufmo situation. However, what was on the other side was not really what she expected. The exit door did nothing but take her to a bunch of different rooms that looked like your standard office building over and over again. Despite most of these rooms looking the same, Pomni would continue to push through, eventually reaching one room in particular that had an old-timey computer set up in the corner. After seeing this, Pomni begins to really freak out now, laughing like a crazy person and even her teeth turning all sharp, with the final door leading her to a place called the Void, a place that Kane strongly encourages the residents to not venture off into because apparently even he doesn't know what's out there. Kane eventually realizes Pomni is out in the Void thanks to his overall control of the world and recalls her back to the main circus area, where he's able to not only heal her and Ragatha, but puts the obstructed Kaufmo in the basement to spend the remainder of his days. And even though it looks almost entirely pitch black in there, it's easy to see all the other colored demonic eyes on the sides, implying there may have been other former human turned circus residents that became obstructed in the past, just like Kaufmo, and Kane had to dispose of them down there to keep them from harming the upper level circus. Obstructed residents seem to be the one thing Kane can't fix, and that's likely because it's all related to someone's mental stability, something that Kane explicitly stated he doesn't have any control over when giving Pomni the general rundown of the circus.
One of the few things I don't have control over are your minds. so all I can help you with is coming up with a new one.
Kane also reveals he was the one who created the series of exit doors, but kept it a secret because he doesn't like others seeing his unfinished work. With the pilot ending with everyone at a dinner table eating supper together despite not needing to eat or sleep in this world. With the camera zooming in on Pomni's face as her mind begins to crack little by little. Followed by the overall world zooming out to the point where the final shot shows the same computer setup that Pomni saw during the exit room marathon. So for only a 20-ish minute pilot, there is a lot to unpack here. For instance, the role of Kane in this whole world. He may seem like just the typical bad guy who's forcing people to stay in this world because maybe he's the one human who still has some kind of control over his real life, but at the same time is the mastermind behind the game, so he gets to the, the best of both worlds. That was my kind of initial first impression of him for like the first few hours after I watched the pilot the first time. I was running with the idea that Kane is just a guy who hated the reality of the human world so much that he created this virtual place with Kane as his self-insert to trap people here so he could try to expand his influence. However, Kane doesn't really seem to show much ill intent in the pilot. Even though he's the showrunner, he does at least try to help these people in what seems like the only way he knows how. So the idea of him being programmed to be like this is still likely, but I don't necessarily believe he's being controlled in real time by some real guy 24/7. It's one of those things where he was programmed years ago and is going by his programming instincts within this world. That's my take, at least. Also, this world has probably been a thing for a while now, because Kinger, who's apparently been there the longest, is 48 years old, and the potential server where this game is constantly running looks like it's in some kind of abandoned building from the 80s or 90s. The computer monitor is an old fatback, and the general setup just looks very old. But of course, this is just going off the assumption that Pomni was teleported here in the present day of the 21st century. It does seem likely that's the case though, because she did put on a VR headset, which is something that wasn't really easy to just commonly access back in the 90s, so. Then there's also the question of how all these different people even got here in the first place. At first I thought the one singular computer was the main gateway into the world, but that seems unlikely because that would mean every single person in the digital circus would have had to have access to this same specific computer. It's more likely just the game itself being on one's computer and, them downloading it from wherever they were located. Once it's on there and you commit, it's probably just over for you. So with that being said, could it truly be possible for Pomni and the others to actually get back to their normal lives? Well, if the series does decide to take that route in the future where they fully intend for the real world to be relevant in the endgame of the show, it seems like Pomni in particular would be a shoo-in to get back since she's the main character and all. But it wouldn't surprise me if along the way maybe one or multiple of the others ended up getting obstructed while looking for answers and helping Pomni. Though based on the way the rest of these guys were acting in the pilot, they don't really seem to be eager to get out of there. They've kind of just accepted the fact that this is their life now because they've seen firsthand what happens to the ones who focus too much on finding a way out. Granted, Pomni has now too, but I feel like that won't stop her in the long run. Who knows, maybe she'll become obstructed at one point herself, but perhaps be one of the few to overcome it. How exactly? I can't say for sure, but for now I'll just, chalk it up to plot armor or something, I don't know. How dark would it be though if they just ran with the idea that there really isn't a way out? Like the pilot was the one and only time the show hinted at the real world and the rest of the future episodes were just random circus adventures. I honestly wouldn't even be opposed to that per se because it would make me appreciate the pilot's dark tone even more than I already do. Like, the pilot would just become darker as a result of that. I feel like that's not the route they'll take realistically, which is fine too, but I think it's fun to think about. Let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of the Amazing Digital Circus. What kind of direction do you think it'll take when it comes to Little Pomni and the others? I would love to know your thoughts. If by chance you watched this whole video out of curiosity and haven't seen the full pilot yet, I highly recommend checking it out. It's very enjoyable to watch, and even more so the second time in my opinion. Of course, don't be a stranger to hitting that like button down below if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe for more content like this in the future. But for now, I will see you guys next time. Peace out, take care, bye-bye.